Due to prior recording of this podcast, many events that have been spoken of have already taken place. The audio is pre recorded and shouldn't be confused for as live. Hi guys, so this is Block Talk episode 4. Today we have with us it's Bluesanova, Darshan Lodaya, a.k.a. Bluesanova. For all of those who don't know, he's one of the most experienced and respected artists and producers we have today. In this scene. I mean, let me just tell you all something about him before you all hear him speak. He's one great thing that I'm really proud of. He's not your usual educational dropout sort of artist producer. He is highly qualified. He's a civil engineer. He's an ex banker and now a full time artist and producer. So that's Bluesanova and Lil Todu here this side. What's up, man? How have you been?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you for such a nice introduction.
Yeah, I wrote it down and didn't want to mess that up. Anyways, how have you been keeping busy, man, during this quarantine and so what have you been up to? And tell the listeners something they need to know about you from your side.
Well, I have been working on a lot of new music. Lot of releases, some with you as well, as you already know. A few songs, one song with the meme machine coming up. I can't announce that yet, but that's something exciting as well that's happening. I did score for a short film earlier this
Awesome.
month. I'm also working on an EP for this Australian artist.
Wow.
So doing that, producing that stuff, and plus my solo stuff. Been learning a lot of new stuff. I taught myself some music theory, which I had been avoiding for many years, and
Years.
Huh?
Years.
Yeah, for many years. Yeah.
That is probably one thing the artists that are about to collaborate with you should not know.
Yeah, not disclosing too much. Yeah, need too many details. Yeah. But
That's
yeah, so just teaching myself, man. Luckily, some people have been like Slate Digital and Producer Tech. They've been nice enough to kind of give their services free for 3 months, and trying to take advantage of that and trying to learn as many things as possible.
yeah, that's really amazing. And yeah, so bringing us back to this quarantine period, which is both, I think, a curse and a boon at the same time for people like us. So I mean, what do you think about this whole post COVID scenario for us musicians? How that might be, and like in your vision, and strategies that probably art people like us can mm, adopt to make the most of this time, and once it's over too.
Mm, so I would say that I think the live musicians, like people who play live regularly,
Hmm.
are going to be most hit, and they're already hit.
Hmm.
I used to play live before, but it doesn't happen. Like it hasn't happened for regularly for the past few years or so, because I've been spending a lot of time in the studio and making music and stuff like that for other people, for myself. So a lot of my work happens in the studio. Even that has been affected, even though that's not live. So I can only imagine, and having read and found out about musicians who were used to kind of getting their living from playing live. People are in a very bad state.
It's
because
true.
of that. Musicians are already quite poor, and I'm talking about the majority, like not like the superstars, but
Of course, yeah.
yeah. So I think it's everyone's finding it quite difficult. So the music industry, live industries that way quite badly hit.
Hmm.
Um, I guess this, like, it's anybody's guess, but it seems like that this situation is not going to change overnight. I think it's going to last for at least another year or so. I believe there are some. I was just talking to D Hood, who's
I
also a
see.
lawyer and a
Hmm.
beatboxer.
I think
So he was telling me that,
I'll interrupt. I think India mein to is going to be 1 year plus few months.
right? It is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, you were talking about D Hood.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what Dahoud was saying, that there's even some kind of a release that the Ministry of I believe, I don't know, some performing arts wala thing. They've said that there'll be no gigs till June 2021.
I see.
Now, uh, if they are saying that much, that means that it's going to go even further. It seems like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that seems quite a scary thing. I think everyone's trying to kind of do live gigs online, and I am not sure how much of an experience that is,
Hmm.
um,
I totally
compared
understand.
compared to the live experience. This yeah, I think the quality of streaming audio is quite not like streaming in terms of streaming platforms, but this kind of live thing is quite bad,
Hmm. Yeah.
and the experience is overall choppy. People yet don't have great internet connections.
True.
um, I believe some people have seen success through Fortnite, but I don't know
Hmm.
exactly what's going on there.
Oh,
Maybe you will know about it. So
no, no.
on the, like, I think few people did concerts on in the game Fortnite,
Hmm.
and there were like 5 million people who came to watch. Yeah, apparently that became a big hit. So
Hmm.
I think this is a new situation for everyone, and we have to just keep exploring and finding out what works. Um,
It's
One
true.
thing is for sure, that everyone will have to try new things and learn new stuff, and not be set in their ways of thinking. Um, yeah, just do
It's
whatever
true.
it takes.
That's true. That's true. I mean, this was really uncalled for. But anyway, so tell us more about your current. Elaborate a little bit about your current projects, collaborations, releases, and some of your songs which you already released. I think one was with Crazy Vibe, the one which last weekend on Earth. Then there was Baba. So
Okay.
yeah, tell us about some of the songs that you already kind of released in the past few weeks or months, and the ones which will be coming up.
So last weekend on Earth was the one, I think we released in April or May, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, that was actually a song that we had written almost 3.5 years back, and generally, like, it's a whole dystopian kind of theme, where
Hmm.
it's kind of the last weekend on Earth, and what do? You have absinthe in a beer mug and just make the best out of it.
Get it out then, because I can totally see that becoming a reality.
So yeah, when this whole thing was happening, we thought that, oh
Hmm.
wow, like, there
Yeah.
couldn't be a better moment for the release of this song. We had been second guessing ourselves. Oh, does this song sound good? Do the other vocals nice? This, that, but we
Hmm.
just went ahead and did it because it was apt for that
Hmm.
situation. And yeah, we love dystopian themes, and you can expect some
Hmm.
more of
They're
that kind
closer
of
to
music.
reality.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, to uncomfortably close to reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, that was about that. And Baba, of course,
Hmm.
is a straight kind of, we are pointing our guns at all the
Hmm.
fake godmen of India,
Hmm.
and a big applause to them. Yeah. um, yeah, who are cheating the
Hmm.
the poor and the vulnerable
Hmm.
people of India, the illiterate, the not just the illiterate, even smart people get duped by this whole story.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
I think I think every couple of weeks you'll see in the
Yeah,
news
that's
about
true.
some Baba who's been
Hmm.
irrespective of the religion they are from,
Hmm.
has kind of done
Yeah.
horrible deeds like rape, murder,
Hmm.
pedophilia. I think no
Exactly.
crime is below them. Like they are,
Hmm.
yeah. So, and all in the name of making people
Yeah.
better. And I think that's the worst thing to do, is to prey on innocent people when
Hmm.
they are at their worst time and kind of
That's
exploit
true.
them.
Yeah, capitalize on that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's what we wanted to talk about, and I think the message
Yeah.
was received. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, guys, please
So
check that song out. I think the video is out on Meme Machine's channel, and it's out on Spotify and all your streaming platforms. So that's
yeah,
Bluesanova
we
and.
have two videos for that.
Mhm.
One is a kind of animated video, and the other one is with actual footage from news channels and stuff like that.
Awesome. I mean, big ups to you guys for even talking about issues like this. क्योंकि अभी usually ऐसी कोई गाने बना नहीं रहा है. So I mean, I'd really like to congratulate you all on that.
Thank you so much, bro.
All right. So now take us through. So when you produce for another artist, take us through your workflow. How exactly is it? You help them kind of through the song and crafting their sound. Your advice to them usually on mixing, or the kind of artists you usually work with, and basically your contribution towards their song as a producer would do. And just define producing an artist in your own terms, and then just take us through your whole process.
So I've been working with a few singer songwriters
Hmm.
and a few, a couple of people who produce a little bit themselves, but don't want to take the whole project on themselves. So,
Hmm.
which is why they approached me, and uh, I would say all of those styles are very different.
Hmm.
All of each one of those artists has their own kind of reasons why they've written those songs, and I think they have a kind of there's a kind of feeling that they have about the
Hmm.
song, and they
Hmm.
want to see that feeling come true in a musical composition.
I see.
So I think it's the producer's job to kind of get that out of
Hmm.
an artist, and like create a safe and comfortable atmosphere where the artist can be free,
Hmm.
feel free to make mistakes, um, and not be judged, and just feel at ease. And that is
Hmm.
where the artist can actually give their best performance.
I see. I
Um,
would just like to ask: do usually artists give you that kind of freedom that whenever they're in the booth, or kind of you all are brainstorming with ideas? Because usually it's like, I mean, in my opinion, artists kind of tend to get a bit touchy and protective about their ideas. So I mean, are they really open to uh, em- advice like, okay, I didn't really like your flow on that kind of that part, so change it, or be more expressive while
yeah.
you are they usually open to that kind of feedback? I mean, Indian
So
artists in general.
yeah, so that would really depend on the artist, So
Hmm.
I would say there are various kinds.
Hmm.
A few artists who maybe I do a few singles for and stuff like that. You
Hmm.
like they don't want any input. They don't really want to hear any. They
Hmm.
don't want to get any feedback. They
Hmm.
know what want the track to sound like.
Hmm.
Um, in those situations, my role is kind of minimal, and
Hmm.
try and give them whatever minimal feedback they want. And not go beyond that. So I think the artist kind of decides the level of involvement that the producer will play in the whole thing, and how much they want the producer to contribute. And I think it would depend. It would depend on what they want.
Hmm.
So you're right. Some people might be touchy, um, that they may not like it or they might take it the wrong way. But I think it's important for artists. Um,
To be more open for sure, I guess.
yeah. I think it'll benefit
Hmm.
them, and they can get the best out of the services that they have hired.
True, true.
Yeah, so you'll find all kinds, and
Hmm.
well, you got to deal with.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
you
I
got to
think
deal with all
here,
kinds.
here, I think, I mean, people just people in general and artists, I would say, are not really, know the entire meaning or the entire potential of the word producer. For them, I think a hip hop producer, I would say hip hop man, they think is a producer is a guy who probably just makes beats or
Yeah,
or programs. That would rather what a beat maker or a
yeah,
programmer would do. I think they don't know
yeah,
like what a music producer to a song is, what a director
yeah,
would be to a movie.
yeah, yeah.
I think once
Absolutely.
they kind of know that ke he it's more than just a beat. There's a lot more like arrangements, sound design, probably even kind of advice on the kind of the energy with which they are delivering vocal takes. वो कुछ
Yeah,
अलग ही experience हो जाएगा.
yeah. And it's for sure that if people who are willing to take feedback,
Hmm.
and will kind of get the benefit of working with the producer, and kind of at least try new things, learn to
Hmm.
try new things, right?
Hmm.
um, so you're right that I think hip hop producers are seen as beat makers, where they just give the beat, and people rap to that kind of that kind of a beat. I think that's all the role that a lot of artists want beat producers to play.
Hmm.
But sure, I think to each artist will decide his
Hmm.
or her own level of involvement.
वो तो है.
Yeah, yeah,
बट आई थिंक मेरे को लगता है यहाँ पे स्पेशली ओवर हियर उनको लगता है कि मतलब आर्टिस्ट से ऊपर कोई है नहीं, विच इज़ एक्चुअली लाइक नॉट द केस. मतलब देर इज समवन मोर एक्सपीरियंस एंड मोर द like someone else heading the whole kind of artistic and this process. But it's okay, I think. I really hope people, just artists and everyone, just educate themselves on this and it changes with time, because that will only be better for the music and then in turn the scene.
yeah, absolutely. So I think that's like, if they know that our goals are aligned, in the sense that all of us want to make a great song,
Hmm.
and I think once they understand that, and also kind of give credit to
It's
producers,
true.
and kind of take a few risks. Yeah, I
Hmm.
think that is
That's
what
very
is quite
important. That's very
important
important.
as well. Yeah.
So tell us something, probably your musical, influences growing up, as a listener, that kind of, have contributed towards your distinct sound as a producer and artist both.
So
Artists, basically.
yeah. I like I've heard a lot of music in my
Hmm.
life,
Hmm.
and a lot of variety of genres.
Hmm.
I kind of
It
my
need not be,
earliest.
need not
Hmm.
name only hip hop. Obviously, it can be anything.
Yeah, yeah. So it isn't only hip hop.
Hmm.
So I've heard from rock to a lot of um, early 90s hip hop,
Hmm.
to a lot of early 90s um, like commercial dance music,
Hmm.
to a lot of British new wave heavy metal, and some thrash metal and stuff like that. So lots of bands, I can say. When I was growing up, a lot of these 80s synth pop kind of stuff.
Name a few. Name a few.
Yeah, so um yeah, New Order, Depeche Mode, from from those guys to Erasure, um, to Tangerine Dream, kind of that John Hughes wala soundtrack feeling. To then I went to a little bit of metal kind of a phase where I listened to a lot of Maiden and um, Megadeth, Metallica, early Metallica only. Uh,
I know what you mean. Yeah. Guys, I
yeah,
hope you
yeah,
all are updating your playlist because he's naming some gems right here.
yeah, yeah. So crazy stuff. As you know, also used to be in a kind of a rock band early on, and
Mm-hmm.
played that kind of thrash music. Um, Alongside, I started electronic music production. Prodigy, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai,
Rage Against the Machine.
Crystal Method, Rage Against the Machine. Fuck, how could I forget? Rage Against the Machine.
And how's
Just
how's it kind of
yeah.
helped shape your sound, and what is your sound kind of like, you know?
So
Is it
um,
like do you like rhythm heavy like groove percussion kind of thing, or is it more synth oriented, or like your vocal just brush up on upon it.
I think for me,
Hmm.
synths and bass are really important.
Hmm.
So I would say that I think those are kind of the elements of my song which I kind of draw from a lot of those the 80s synth stuff that I heard, listen to, and then even
Hmm.
later on like the sampled Prodigy and Crystal Method and Dust Brothers and stuff like that. So yeah, I think synth and bass is kind of my main thing. Um, Drums, I like them punchy, but I don't really make. I think that I don't really make very intricate kind of
Hmm.
beats or stuff like that. But
Hmm.
that's why my main thing is, yeah, vocal,
Awesome.
synth, and bass. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So that's almost bringing us towards the end of this podcast. So I think you can give an elaborate answer on this. Any like with the kind of I think probably hip hop artists or producers could relate to you more because I think you're closely knit to this scene. So I mean, the advice could be for everyone basically. I mean, your tips that you would like to give out to probably artist producers, and just with this whole indie thing happening alongside, and the future of this independent industry as you see it, and what do you think could help it grow or become the next big thing if it does.
So well, it's very heartening to see right now this whole scene.
Hmm.
I don't think we've ever seen so much original music come out of the Indian indie scene.
True, true.
There used to be a lot of cover oriented stuff back in the 90s, but
Hmm.
it's very good to see that everyone's making new music. People are expressing themselves. So I think that's really very cool that um, I think social media and the internet has kind of made it possible for people who didn't have a voice before to
Hmm.
kind of get a voice and be heard now.
That's true.
Um, of course, there's a flip side to that as well. That also means that there is a lot of clutter and there's a lot of stuff that you have to sift through before you find good music, because now everyone has a voice. Um, but the scene is very promising.
Everyone has a voice and everyone can crack a door.
Yeah. So and that's what, right? Like you have AI making music now,
Hmm.
and you really can just mash up a few loops together and say that you produced it. So it's kind of easy to be called producer in quotes that way, but
Hmm.
I think people who put in their time and um, bring some value to the artist and to the listener will will continue to be around and will have a long career. And that's, I think, for anywhere or any career, if you're contributing,
Hmm.
if you're
Where you
learning.
really put, where you really kind of consider that the customer is king.
Um, so so that's what, right? There are two
Hmm.
ways to. There are two kind of extremes in this whole thing. It's a whole spectrum. So like every artist wants to one kind of express themselves, right?
Hmm.
Irrespective of what anyone thinks of them.
Very true. Yeah.
And on the other side, they want to be also recognized for that.
Hmm.
So I think that's always a conflict that artists are in. That if I'm honest, will people like me, or
Yeah.
or yeah? So
I think
I think that's
that's where this whole indie movement came from.
so then people kind of change their whole narrative and kind of say what they think that people want to hear. But I think all of us are guilty of that stuff. But I don't know. I think it's up to each of us to find that balance between what the audience wants from us or what we think that the audience express, what we think that the audience wants from us, and
Hmm.
what feels true to us as artists. I think
That's very
kind of
true.
getting a balance, and at the end of the day, feel good about the
Hmm.
music that we've put out and feel that okay, this is a representation of um, you know
Exactly.
work that I've done from the heart. Yeah.
That's very true. In fact, I would just like to tell everyone about this really funny incident. If you remember back in 2015,
Mm.
when we had gone to Goa, if you remember, we were just having this kind of conversation with a stranger there, and we were just telling him, okay, we make.
Where was he from? Serbia? From Croatia? What?
Yeah, from Serbia, I think. And then he was
Uh-huh.
telling us, and we were just discussing each other like what we do, and we were just sharing
Mm.
our playlist, and we
Mm.
we were making, we were playing a lot of metal there,
Yeah,
and then he
yeah.
kind of told us, oh, so y'all are hip hop guys who listen to metal. So I think we didn't really have too much to say in response to that.
Yeah, so I think that's a kind of stereotype that people have, right? That
Yeah,
hip hop
exactly.
guys will listen to only hip hop
Hmm.
or
No,
um
I think what he meant कि मतलब
uh,
अगर तुम लोगों को मेटल इतना पसंद है तो वो म्यूजिक क्यों नहीं बनाया?
so that's the kind of I know. That's the kind of school of thought that a lot of people have. It's like, oh, तो अगर इस type का है, you should only play folk.
Exactly,
But
exactly.
I think we are all multifaceted
Hmm.
and
I think that's one great thing about just independent music and present times. Like we are not genre bound. We are not, and I think if everything is done in the right way, it can actually turn out to be something really great and positive.
yeah, most definitely. I think that's what, like, listen to all kinds of music.
Hmm.
Um,
And be original.
find and find your own kind of sound from all the whole mix of stuff that you heard, and it'll automatically come to you, I think. Yeah.
That's true. Any parting words or a quote probably that you live by that you would like our listeners to know?
um, I don't know, man.
No,
Keep learning, keep going. Mm.
and at the one just a set of words that's hung on your wall. Do epic shit.
Do epic shit.
Okay, guys,
Yes.
that was Bluesanova. You all can check him out all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and all your favorite streaming platforms. He's got a vast range of music that like different kind of genres. He's got electronic, he's got hip hop, he's collaborated with folk artists and the works. So check him out everywhere, check his music out, you all will love it. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you, Darshan, so much for giving us time.
Thank you so much, bro, for having me here.
South Block
Mm.
Studios, Block Talk episode 4. It's a vibe. And this is Block Talk, and I'm Lil Todu. Have a safe one, guys. Bye.